What is the most effective psychological trick you use? I work in an office. When people stop by my desk and refuse to leave me alone, I will get up and refill my water bottle while they are talking to me. Instead of walking back to my desk, I walk them to theirs. They instinctively will sit down. Then I just sever the convo and get back to work. My youngest, 4, got into the why phase a little while back. Read an article that said the best way to get them to stop was to ask them, "I'm not sure. What do you think it is a godsend?" They answer their own question. You provide some feedback, "Sounds good to me," and they immediately move on. Effing awesome. To avoid workplace drama and be well liked is to just compliment people behind their back. I currently manage around 240 people between 6 restaurants. It is often hard to get them to do what is needed. I have found saying "I need your help" is sufficient to get them on board. People want to feel needed and like they are making a difference. Expressing to them as much makes all the difference in the world. Listening to someone without giving advice or pushing for more information typically nets me more information than being pushy for it. I work as a creative director. I have a lot of great clients. Unfortunately, with a few time managers from their side. They usually go with the mantra of "if it's not my idea, it's not a good idea." I end up, sometimes, telling them about something Google, Tesla, Amazon, Samsung, etc. is doing, and how we could try it. They jump at these ideas. The ideas are actually mine or my team's. Works like a charm. In an argument, find something to agree on, then push your main point. I recently read that saying "you're right" instead of "I know" makes you look less like an a-hole and doesn't diminish something someone else may have just found out. I think it's pretty effective at not letting you look like a total ass. If you hand something to someone, they will take it. It's a lot of fun. When somebody shy is speaking, if you look at them and nod your head, it encourages them to keep talking. Playing dumb gets you out of a lot, but not too dumb. Anyone here reading through the posts for the sake of using them in the future, but an hour later you forget everything you just read? When someone is trying to throw excuses, or generally if they are getting a bit arsy about something, often the best way to handle it is to stare back with mild interest and contribute nothing to their monologue. If you don't give them anything to work with, they'll talk themselves into a corner and lose confidence in what they're saying. I learned this trick from an old director who used to control pretty much any meeting room scenario by being the most silent and impassive person in the room. I fondly remember the time someone asked him a ridiculous question and he just stared at him for about 15 seconds. 15 seconds is a long time to be stared at in a room full of people. The guy wilted into his chair and nobody could work out if the director was angry or just quietly mulling it over. I work with a bunch of idiot lawyers and I use the phrase "you're correct" all the time, even if it's one teeny tiny thing they are correct about. It makes them feel smart and they instantly soften. It also keeps them listening because they are hoping more flattery will come down the pike. Evil cackle. Thanking someone for a tray you want from them. Instead of telling a customer you're sorry for their wait, tell them "thank you for your patience" or understanding. Works wonders. I can't remember. My wife's a psychologist and I lost all my superpowers of manipulation of time and space. Instead of arguing, I start off by agreeing and then state my point of view after addressing the other person's point. Always ends in a positive interaction. Edit. The idea is to show respect for what the other person thinks. Assuming that the person isn't a complete moron. They more than likely have a valid point. Rather than shutting the person down and telling them they're wrong, you listen to them. Then after hearing them out, you can bring up your own point of view. The goal is to have a respectful exchange of opinions rather than a flat out argument where two people flat out don't agree with each other and leave each other without learning anything from one another. Don't say "it's okay" when someone apologizes. Say something like, "Thank you for apologizing." If someone needs to apologize to you, then it was something that isn't okay. My mom teaches this to her kindergartners and it really does make a difference. Opens doors for growth and conversation too. "Thank you for apologizing. I don't like it when you hit me," or whatever. When I ask someone a question and their first response is what, I just stare at them for a few seconds. And 99% of the time they answer my question without me having to repeat myself. I think it's just a subconscious reflex people have to ask what instead of answering what you've asked even when they've heard you clearly. IDK if this is an actual thing or not. Or maybe just distractions. But when I do something annoying or bothersome to my husband and he goes quiet, I wait a few minutes and then I ask him a seemingly innocent question. Usually on the subject of how certain parts of a car works. Or something mechanical. This gets him talking about the car thing and he rambles for like 5 minutes and then bam. He's happy again and not quietly brooding. I'll never tell him I do that because I'm afraid it won't work anymore if he knows about it. It's foolproof though. It works every single time. No matter how bothered he is. Whenever I know somebody is holding some truth from me, I'll look at them and stay silent, no nodding. No acknowledging, just looking. The silence usually brings out the truth or extra detail. If they squirm around a bit you know there's something they have exaggerated, etc. Think of my future self. How will my future self feel in an hour or two if I skip my gym session? Will my future self be happy if I do this pile of dishes now? Before bed? Or would he prefer to have to do it in the morning? Before work? I have a 3-month deadline on this project. Will my future self appreciate my current self taking the first 3 or 4 weeks easy? Or will he be really pissed off? Essentially delayed gratification. Pretty much all the bad stuff gives us instant gratification, while all the good stuff has delayed gratification. I always try to remember that if I have to wait to reap the rewards then it's probably the best option. I'm a professional poker player. When I am in a pot with one other player, I often try to make them laugh when they are thinking about what to do. If you can get them to laugh, it sets them in a mood where they are unlikely to bluff. I talk a lot in general, it's very common to make jokes at the table even in hands. When you need to find out a name egg for a lead, you say, oh, is John still managing up there? They go, no, it's Mark now. Works with anything. Just use a fake. Is that your focus outside? What? No, mine's the Ferrari. When you are standing in a group and somebody tells a joke or something funny happens, people tend to look towards the person they like the most while laughing. This isn't something I've used but I think it's worth sharing. Darren Brown said that once there was a muscly drunk guy that wanted to beat him up and said the classic, what are you looking at? Darren replied with, the wall outside my house is 4 feet tall. The idea is that it puts the aggravated person on the back foot and takes them out of that adrenaline filled state. Anyways, he sat down and the guy started crying to him about his GF. He is Darren Brown though, so I wouldn't recommend this to everyone. I wear noise cancelling headphones at work. 90% of the time they're not making a sound. I just want all my weird ass co-workers to F off. And it works. They are the headphones of shielding. If someone says they have the hiccups, ask them to prove it. 9/10 times. Their hiccups will disappear. Having to summon a hiccup in order to demonstrate will trick your diaphragm into just not hiccuping. I've been able to twist it around on myself with some success as well. But it takes practice. You realize you have hiccups. Then try to hiccup. Actively try to make yourself do another one. It'll stop. Set expectations low and blow people's minds with my mediocrity. I use this technique at university where I couldn't stand the thought of having to answer questions in front of a group of people. So if you find yourself in a group situation where someone, a leader, tutor, manager etc. is asking questions that must be answered and you want to avoid being picked so that you don't have to talk, then here is my tip. If the person locks eyes on you as they ask the question, then just as they are about to get to the end of their question you break eye contact and look towards another person in the room and hold it. Their attention is diverted to that other person just as the question ends and the person they are now looking at feels compelled to answer. If however the person starts asking the question while looking at someone else, then look at that other person and hold it so you can't get suckered. Use it sparingly because if you do it enough on the same person, they will be onto you. Smiling. Smile at the bartender. They'll be more likely to come to you quicker. Smile at your colleague in the morning and they'll be more open to the request that you've got for them later. Smile at your kids and they'll feel loved. Smile at your partner and they'll wonder what they've done that's made you so happy. Smile at me and I'll smile back and we'll both feel great for a few minutes. Smile at everyone when you meet them. Smile in a job interview. Smile at the shop worker, the barman, the postman, the random dog walker in the park, the person who nearly bumped into you on the street, the barista, your teacher, your mum and your dad. Smile at yourself in the mirror and give yourself a cheeky wink. Writing smile is making me smile. And I feel great now, so I'm gonna go and get a sandwich. Thanks for reading. I ask small favors and publicly thank people for their help. Recognize their contributions and genuinely appreciate them. Nobody ever effing noticed that I also stopped coming in on Fridays about 18 months ago. Saying hello to everybody you know. And with a smile. Often people who know each other from when they were in primary school or just from the block when they were young give each other an awkward smile instead of a happy good day. Just imagine. If someone walks into you twice a year and both times you smile and greet them enthusiastically, they will think of you as a nice person. So little effort for a person to find you friendly. I stopped apologizing for things that I didn't have control over and stopped saying thank you for things that don't need gratitude. It makes for much stronger and more empowered conversation without coming across as a jerk. I pretend to be really bad at lying, so when I do have to lie it is super effective.